Okay, here we are working on another 380 SEC. This one's cream in colour. It's about an 83 model, and we're doing the air conditioning. So far we've removed, down in front of this radiator here, we removed the evaporator. The condenser. And this is the condenser here. We removed it because we had to flush it out because the air conditioning system was contaminated with rust, and we had to clean it. So we've had the radiator out to remove it. You can see down underneath the power steering there's a brand new air conditioning compressor down here. There it is there, this thing here. I'll give you another view from the underneath in a minute. So we're just finishing putting that back together. We've got all the pipes here which are removed and we flushed out. You can see there's the pipes running here. This one here which has got a cap on it to stop contamination. Going down to the air conditioning compressor below, we've cleaned all that. Now we're going to clean from this pipe, this fitting here, all the way into the cabin of the car, through the evaporator. And then this is the this line here is the high pressure line, the blue line. It's a flexible hose, we're going to flush that as well. That blue line comes from the receiver dryer at the front here, runs along here, you can see the blue line following it. And then it's behind here, there, and it runs down there into the cabin. So we still have to flush that line, this other line, and the evaporator, and we're going to change the TX valve, the thermal expansion valve, which is located in the driver's side footwell. After doing all that, we'll then evacuate the system and we'll regas it, test, make sure all the switches are working. And that should be it. Just a note, in working on this we've noticed down here the hydraulic suspension pump is leaking from its O-rings and needs to be overhauled, change all the seals and the shaft seal and the O-rings. But apart from that it's working, it just needs an overhaul, which is not a very big job, but it takes a couple of hours work to do the whole thing. This is the hole where the receiver dryer goes. We removed that. We found that it was the original one from when the car was built in 1983 and was well and truly time to be replaced. This pipe here is the in pipe to the evaporator, and we put had it disconnected. You can see there's compressor oil on there. We put a new O-ring there. We put new O-rings on every location. We're putting an O-ring on this location. You'll notice here that the oil that I've got is very rusty coloured because it's contaminated. And in this position here, there's an O-ring that goes on the tube that goes in there. Okay, we're underneath the 380 SEC, the 83 model, and we can see we've got a brand new compressor. Now this is not a piston compressor, this is a rotary compressor, much more efficient and has less consumption of power to drive it, and is just generally a better, more modern unit. And as part of the job we do, we custom fit it to fit. It actually will not just bolt in, there are minor things to do to get it to fit right. You can see under here, you can see the pipe from the evaporator, the condenser. Or is it there? That one there. That runs into the system. That would be running back up to the system, and you can see the rear of the compressor and the pipes and the muffler assembly on the aircon. That's all been flushed out. This is the connector from the brand new air conditioning pump, and that will be plugged into this plug after we clean it. There's a lot of oil and dust in here, and that's all due to the hydraulic suspension pump leaking on the front of the engine. And although it hasn't been bad, it's just going to get worse, and it will end up getting all over the air conditioning compressor, and it'll just be a bit nasty. You can see up on the muffler we've had this pipe off, we've cleaned this pipe out, and this is a tapered seat fitting. It doesn't have an O-ring, so we've just had to put that back together. Also to note on this engine, for the customer, it came in running on 6 cylinders. It was not firing or not producing power on 2. So we traced back to the fuel injection distributor, and we replaced that, and we've tested the cold start valve and various parts of the system. We've also changed all the fuel injectors because they were very old and they were dribbling basically too much. And basically when you turn the engine off, it would tend to dribble into the cylinder and make it hard to start because it would be too rich. So we've done that. And yeah, and the other thing we've done is on this car, another complaint was the rear suspension was very stiff and bunny hopping as such, and we traced that back to both rear accumulators were the diaphragms were pierced, or basically allowing fluid into both sides of the diaphragm, and they discharged the nitrogen, so in other words they were no longer working. So you really had no spring effect. So you can see here we've got the full complement of O-rings to change on this car, which is only about 3 or 4, but we've got them all here to do the job. So this car's got 150,000 kilometres on it, I think. It's not very much, and it's actually in pretty good nick. The other thing to notice on this car is we've noticed that in the rear window frame area inside here, underneath there's holes, and in through those holes we put our fingers, and we found that there's rust in certain parts of the rear window frame. So this rear window frame's been leaking for many years, and in fact we noticed that the boot, after a rain hit us, it was full of water. So we're going to have to remove the rear window